Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and to another episode of hashtag one book at a time. If you're new here, my name is Wawa and I make all kind of videos about books, productivity, project management and a little bit of book and life updates here and there. And today is a very special day because today I am going to make a video of a book review that is very close to my heart, and the name is Harry Potter and Philosopher's Stone. This is a book that I first read as a child that I keep on rereading it every single year ever since. So this time is going to be a little bit different because usually I've been reading this for fun and for leisure, just to cozy up with all the magical world. But this time I'm not just going through it for nostalgia and comfort, but I'm going to go through this critically and analyzing the book as an adult, the book that I read in the month of October, which is this month. So grab a cup of tea or coffee and join the conversation. First, look at the cover. This is the very first edition of Harry Potter. Very first edition when it first came out in 2000. This is Europe edition and is called Philosopher's Stone instead of a Sorcerer's Stone. I'm very aware that any other parts of the world are familiar with this book as it is being called as Harry Potter and Sorcerer's Stone, but I'm just familiar with this edition, and I love this edition because of its watercolor illustration on it. It was illustrated by a very talented artist, which I don't know the name, but the name, this is the guy who actually illustrated this book. And also, before we jump right into the discussion of my favorite book, I want to welcome you into my tiny little hotel room on a hill resort today, because today we are celebrating my husband's birthday, and I'm coming to you with a happy but also exhausted face because we had a super busy month in month of October. I just finished this book, and first I read Harry Potter when I was 13 maybe. However, it became one of the books that those books that actually shaped my life, shaped my love for reading. And like so many of you, I got hooked on the magic system. I got hooked on the world building in this book, the adventure, and of course the characters. And I used to read this book every year, and I stopped for a few years in my 20s, and then I come back to my reading. It becomes my old tradition, and I don't think I ever gonna stop rereading this. So now, as an adult and having this channel, I felt like this is the perfect time to actually go back to this book and take a closer look this time, not just through the lens of nostalgia, but with more mature eyes and mature analysis. And let me tell you, the experience that I got into this time, it hit differently, and I noticed what I like and also what I don't like about this book. Of all the years since the first time I read this book, I don't see any flaw with Harry Potter. I don't see anything that I don't like. Maybe because I'm busy enjoying the world of the magic. But now, going back in as an adult, I notice what I don't like, some of the things that I don't like in this book. So I'm going to discuss this with you. Let's start with the plot. I would say that the thing that struck me the most this time is just how simple the story is, and yet how brilliant it was executed. At its core, it's all about this young boy who discovered his place in a place that he never knew even existed. So, as a kid, I remember being swept away by the magic of it all about magic, the letters, the school, Hogwarts, the talking portraits, the funny ghosts, the flying broom, the train ride, the magical town. But as an adult, this time round, I read it with a more intentional reason. I really appreciate the pacing. I have to say that J.K. Rowling really knows how to build a world without overwhelmed a reader, or a first time reader, I would say. So she started very small, like the very first 70 pages is all about Harry's traumatic experience. It's all about his abusive family, the introductions of his hardship with his Dursley family, who mentally abused him, and his horrific background. And then slowly we were transformed when Harry was saved or taken by a Dumbledore team into the world of Hogwarts, into the wizarding world. That is our first introduction into the world, and it slowly expands from there. So you actually get to travel with the characters and experience every little step as someone who comes from a horrific background into a magical and happy space. And what I found interesting this time is that how much of that magic holds up. And even as an adult, I like the story because I still feel that it leaves you with the magical life in Hogwarts is a very normal activity, or a very normal scene. I would say the way she creates it is all about day-to-day activity. You go into classes, you hang out in a library, you have other curriculum like herbology class, doing some planting and gardening, broom classes, making friends with the students there and getting trouble with them. It's just like a normal kid. Okay, so here's where things get very critical, or more critical. As a kid, I love Harry Potter. I find him to be brave. I find him to be selfless. He's lucky. He's a hero, right? But reading it now, I notice how much Harry is just more a passive character who just who just let life happens to him, and he gets swept away along by all these events, and he doesn't really drive the events. And I wanted him to be more aggressive. I guess it's not necessarily a bad thing, because considering that he's just an 11 years old, but comparing him to other characters in the story who's also the same age as him, it makes me a bit upset with the way he behaved. If other angle of the story, I would say as an adult, it makes me appreciate how his character evolves because he came from a very traumatic experience and abusive family. I also noticed other side characters in the story, which is Hermione and Ron. They do a lot of heavy lifting in the story, especially in solving problems. And Hermione, especially, I relate to her since I first read this book, and she's the inspiration for me to keep learning, to keep exploring everything, all of the unknown knowledge. And I think she's the one with all the knowledge, and as an adult I still appreciate her, I still relate to her. But I also realize that how underappreciated she is in this story, and the reason they all survive in all of the situations are because of her. And I also appreciate and love Ron because of his life with his family. They have so much to offer to Harry. Even with all the little things that they have, they're very contented. They are connected among the family, among the siblings. Everyone plays an important role in the household to make it a functional family house. The mother is so loving. She's very responsible. She takes care of every single child in the house, and the father is always there working very hard as the breadwinner. And I just love this family very much. I love the strong friendship theme in this book between Harry, Ron, and Hermione. I love how the friendship allows them to use the strength to help them overcome all the obstacles. I find that they complement each other, because they need Ron for the chess set, they need Hermione for her brain, for potion, for spells, and of course we need Harry because he's the key to all of these stories and adventures. And on a deeper themes, I picked up a theme that I never really paid attention to when I was a kid, like the first scene in the story where Harry lived with his family, Dursley. We see how Harry's life transformed from being among a family who is a bully, these kind of family members, into a space where he is loved, he is accepted for who he is. And there's also a theme of identity and belonging which resonated with me this time, which is Harry's journey of discovering who he is, where he belongs, what makes him special. And I think it's something that we all can relate to in your own way. And the idea of choice versus destiny, which Dumbledore hints at, is something I think becomes more profound as you get older and when you return to read this book. I love all the funny lines in this book, and I forgot how funny it is, especially about Hagrid, which I totally forgot. He's the most adorable characters in the first book, and I remember that I used to love reading the lines about Hagrid, and I don't know why I forgot about it. And this time around, I remember to pay attention to it, and I really had fun reading all the funny scenes in this story. I also appreciate Dumbledore's scene where he have a sit down with Harry and then have a real deep conversation about life, about his background and the person he's supposed to be. I really appreciate all the wise quotes by Dumbledore. He's one of the characters that have a soft spot on me. One thing that I realized is that I do not like Quidditch. I do not hate it, but I also do not see the point of chasing Golden Snitch as a sport. Although I understood the rules, I understood what it meant for the house points, but maybe Hogwarts Legacy game ruined it for me as an adult because you get to chase the Golden Snitch even if you're not in the game. Like the scene in the book, right? So I really wanted to love this game, but I don't feel I have enough reason to it, and I feel bad for it. But then again, probably the rules is just something that I have to live with it. I do not like Quidditch. Maybe in theory, yeah. I think among all of the book in the series, this is the only book that stress out the importance of the house points, and I really appreciate that. And I'm a Gryffindor for life. And although it was so obvious that Gryffindor in this story was gonna win, like obviously because Harry is in Gryffindor, but I love how the plot was designed to emphasize on collecting points and deducting points if you misbehave, and all the wrongdoings that you do in schools will have the consequences, and points will be deducted and impact not just you but also your house. I find it cute. So that's my take of rereading Harry Potter and Philosopher's Stone as an adult. I find it very rewarding. It's a rewarding experience to come back to this book every year, and this time I find it very meaningful because I get to actually rereading it while analyzing it critically as an adult, and the magic is still there. I find it still beautiful. I also found a new depth of story into it, which I never really appreciated as a child. And I think that the beauty of the great books, they actually grow with you, and you can actually revisit them at different time and phase of your life, and they will always offer something for you to take away and bring back into your reality. And this book, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, is going to remain my favorite book of all time. I say it now. And if you ever thought of rereading this book or never read this book and wanted to read it for the first time, just give it a go. And I highly recommend it because of the world of magic that it has to offer for you. So let me know in the comments if you have reread this Harry Potter book and how it has changed your life as a adult or as a kid. Before we wrap up, I want to introduce you to our November's pick, I Hope This Finds You Well by Natalie Sue. This is about a girl named Jolene who is an admin worker, and she stumbled into her co-worker's private emails, and instead of reporting it to the IT, she used it to her advantage to save her own job. So a lot of reviews are saying that this is going to be a funny and heartwarming story, and I can sense that it's going to be a fun one as well, and I'm expecting myself to laugh a lot, to have a funny experience with a quirky office drama that I'm familiar with my 9 to 5, and a bit of romance with between Jolene and her HR guy, which I'm not really waiting for it, but I hope it's not that cheesy. And just grab a copy and let's discuss about this book next month. And also, don't forget to like this video and share to your friends and subscribe to my channel. And also, as always, keep reading and remember, take one book at a time, and also remember, everything is workable. Bye bye.